Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Committee of CCTA. And we will begin by convening the meeting. And is there any public comment on items that are not on the agenda? I don't have any slips. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is approval of minutes.
Move approval.
This is of January 6th. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any objections, any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to the election of the chair and vice chair. So I believe that I would turn it over to you, Diane, for the election of the chair for the running of the meeting. Should I just go ahead and do it since I won't do it? Okay, so I will call for nominations for the chair.
I'll do this nice, that we appoint Kevin Robick as the chair of the Planning Committee.
And is there a second? Or no, we don't have to second.
Nope.
Okay. Any other nominations?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations,
Thank
Kevin. You are now the chair.
And
I'll turn this meeting over to you.
Okay, and I'll call for nominations for vice chair.
I'll move, since he's not here, let's punish him, David Durant for vice chair of the Planning Committee.
Are there any other nominations? And if not, I'll close the nomination process and put it out for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries unanimously. We're on to item 1.0, consent calendar.
We don't need to hear Brad. I'll move consent calendar.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. On to regular items. Item number 2, circulation of draft fiscal year 2016 congestion management plan. Mr. Engelman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Martin Engelman, Deputy Executive Director for Planning. And this is a draft budget for 2016-17. And each year we bring a draft budget out early in April, and we take it to the Public Managers Association for them to review. So this budget, if you approve it for release, will go out to the managers on April 14th, a week from tomorrow. And they will take a look at it to make sure that they're okay with the proposed local contribution. All of the information in the budget is going to come back to you in May and June as part of the complete budget. So if you'd like, I can give you a full staff report on it, but that's the ever so short version.
Okay. Thank you. Questions of staff?
I do have one, only because when I hear the word assume, it catches my attention. Page 204, the draft budget assumes that the authority will continue to receive federal STIP funds. Maybe it's the state that I've seen other little. Do you see a problem with that at all? I mean, is there any rumors or I mean, what happens if we don't get it?
Well,
we adjust.
We're on track to receive $818,000 in surface transportation funds. They've been approved through the FAST Act. Congress has signed off on it, and there's a draft agreement in the works that we should receive any minute now, and so we're very confident that money is going to arrive.
And if it doesn't, we'll assume something else. Okay.
Well, if it doesn't, we would have to come back to you
okay.
And figure out a plan B. Yeah.
Nothing more? I'm sorry, Randy.
So, well, we have a long-term bill this time from the feds, so we're confident that we'll have this for coming in for several years hence.
Okay, I'll move the draft fiscal year 16-17 CMA budget to the PMA as attached.
First by Hudson.
Second?
Second by Mitchoff.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. 3.0, discussion of City of Martinez request for ULL advisory letter. Mr. Engelman, yes.
Mr. Chairman, we've been having discussions lately about the transportation expenditure plan and the urban limit line, which is part of our growth management program. So this is actually a little bit of a study in how the whole thing works. The city of Martinez adopted the county's urban limit line, so they have what we call a county ULL. And there is a property owner who has a parcel of land outside of the city of Martinez and outside of the urban limit line, and they're requesting water service, and the city of Martinez is the water provider. In order to provide that service, based upon city of Martinez look at this and discussions with LAFCO, there'd be a series of steps required. First, they'd have to move the urban limit line, then they'd have to annex the property. And so I've been involved with discussions about this for the past couple of years, and it finally came to the point where staff suggested that the city of Martinez send us a request for a policy advisory letter, and that's one of the processes we have to make sure that a jurisdiction is confident they can take action without being out of compliance with the growth management program. Simply confer with us. We will prepare a letter stating whether or not the action they propose to take would result in a non-compliance finding with the growth management program. So the parcel itself is 5.15 acres, and the short answer, we believe, is that yes, the city could adjust its urban limit line since this is 30 acres or less, and that it wouldn't create any issues with the growth management program. And so if you're in agreement with that, then what we would do is go ahead and prepare a draft letter that we could bring to the authority then for approval in a couple of weeks, and then it would go back out to the city for review. If we need further discussion, if things get more complicated, we could carry this over a month into May. But I think at this point, the answer is quite straightforward, and staff could go ahead and prepare a letter back to the city telling them that we think it would not result in a growth management program issue for them to adjust the line.
Questions to staff?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't get all the way through this staff report. This is about a 1 acre parcel, is that my understanding?
5.
It's a 5 acre. Is it contiguous to the current city limits, or how much farther
I think it's right
out
across
is
the-
it?
I think there was
Well, Madam Chair, there's a
street.
map on page 3-7.
Okay, thank
And
you.
the parcel is shown there, and the current ULL, the county ULL line is shown,
Okay,
and that's the city of Martinez's line. So it's kind of in a pocket there. The county's line is outside and inside of this thing, but the land itself is contiguous to the existing county urban limit line.
okay, I guess I'm having a hard time understanding this map. The property in question is the one in green, outlined in green?
If you're lucky enough to have a color copy, yes.
Okay.
And it's APN 367-090-017 on
Okay.
page
Great.
37. And then to the right is actually the county's urban limit line,
The yellowish, okay.
which serves as and it's labeled ULL, which serves as the city of Martinez's urban limit line. And then to the left is actually the urban limit line as well. And you can see this is kind of an island.
Yes, so
that's
my question
been
is
created.
the city of Martinez going to go out and grab it like a finger and bring it in, or are they going to in other words, are they going to move that urban limit line down to the, if you will, the point at the end of 367-090-017? In other words, like,
I think
on this
the
it
line-
shows Gordon Way. Is Gordon Way in the city of Martinez?
Yes. So the line, the area around Gordon Way would be expanded to include that parcel. So the urban limit line would come out to include that parcel.
Okay, where I'm going with this, and obviously this is an issue for the homeowner, landowner, and the city, and Mr. Tatson isn't here yet, and he's not sitting in
He's
his
here.
role as a LAFCO commissioner, but I've got a real concern, having tried to provide water to an out-of-service area, if they're not going to take that whole thing in. So what we're doing here is just saying it's okay from the Transportation Authority's perspective, they still have to fight all the battles they're going to have to fight.
Correct.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? There are no speaker cards. Can I get a motion to send a letter? First by Hudson. Yeah, what's his name?
I'll second it.
Second by Mitchoff. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. 4.0, discussion of responses received from regional transportation planning committees regarding Senate Bill 743. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chair Romick. Good evening, Planning Committee members. As you know, the action plans for routes of regional significance were updated by the RTPCs throughout 2013 and 2014, and were set for adoption in 2015 as part of the Countywide Transportation Plan. Subsequently, the state legislature passed Senate Bill 743, which among other things, removed level of service and vehicle delay-based measures from use in CEQA, and directed the Governor's Office of Planning and Research to develop a new transportation analysis metric for use in CEQA. The new metric, which is found in the revised CEQA guidelines, which were issued in January, is vehicle miles traveled, or VMT. OPR believes this new metric will encourage mixed-use infill developments in transit-rich locations and allow for projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But the action plans themselves contain their own transportation metrics, known as MTSOs, or Multimodal Transportation Service Objectives. These have worked very well over the years for assessing the performance of the routes and mitigating impacts from upstream developments. Because the majority of the MTSOs in all 5 of the action plans are vehicle delay based currently, we are using this time prior to the adoption of the CTP to gauge the interest of the RTPCs in reopening their action plans to revise or replace their current MTSOs with those that are consistent with the new CEQA guidelines. So in February and March, we visited all the 5 action plan RTPCs to discuss the changes to CEQA under SB 743 and the impacts to the action plans, and to gauge their interest if they were interested in reopening their action plans, revising their MTSOs, or just being educated on what new types of MTSOs might be applicable under the new CEQA guidelines. So in visiting the 5, one RTPC was interested in, told us straight up they were interested in revising their MTSOs. The other 4 RTPCs were, at this point, stated they were interested in learning more, but didn't commit to any revision of their MTSOs. In your staff report, it says one was not interested at all. They subsequently said, we're interested in learning more. So we've got all 5 that are interested in learning more, and one that has said they want to move all the way forward. We explained to them that we don't think it's required currently, but that it's an option of theirs. So it's really up to the RTPCs. So based on their reaction, we would require consultant support in order to educate the RTPCs on applicable and appropriate new MTSOs, as well as testing those MTSOs and incorporating them into the existing draft action plans. In the future, staff anticipates that revisions to the growth management program implementation documents will be necessary, including technical procedures and general plan amendment review procedures, but we'll approach that at a later date. Tonight, we are recommending budgeting $100,000 for reopening the action plans and revising the MTSOs.
Questions of staff? Okay. First by Hudson, second by Durant. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. On to item 5.0, approval of amendment number 2 to agreement number 365 with DKS Associates Consultant Team to update the MTSOs and the action plans. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. And from the title, you can probably tell this is directly related to item number 4. Basically, in order to support the revisiting of the action plans, staff is recommending that we amend the current DKS contract. DKS was the lead in updating the action plans in 2013 and 2014, so they're intimately familiar with them. We are recommending amending their contract by $100,000 in order to perform that work over the next several months. The changes in their scope can be found in attachment A.
Okay. There are no speaker cards. Questions of staff?
Mr. Kelly, I said it's not to exceed 900,000, so does this 100,000 bring us up to what threshold?
The 900,000.
To the 900, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
When I see something where you're budgeted to a potential increase, I'm fine, I don't have a problem with it. But when I start reading the proposed amendment would increase, we didn't just give them, you're getting 900 grand, right? It's the way I first read it, that potentially if you need to spend that money, we've allotted it, right?
But previously, we've allotted $800,000 for the action plans in the original contract and in a subsequent amendment. So this would be the second amendment for only $100,000.
Well, I'm going to try it again, Matt, next year. We didn't just spend $900,000, we just budgeted for, okay? And
Exactly.
Okay.
We didn't tell them to go spend $100,000, not to exceed the $100,000, whatever the work requires.
Okay.
Because it may just be education and no actual changes to the MTSOs or action plans, which would be much cheaper.
I'll do the trifecta with 5-fecta, whatever. I'll move approval of amendment number 2 to agreement
Okay.
365.
I have a motion by Hudson, second by Mitchoff. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries unanimously. Other business, there is none. News clippings, there is none. Adjournment for our next meeting for Wednesday, May 4th, at this same time and location. We are done.
Finished.
But when we say done, that doesn't mean
Yeah,
you
I mean,
leave. There's another meeting.
No, my
It might
fourth grade
take 5
teacher,
or 10 minutes.
you don't say done, that means you've been in the oven. You are finished.
Yeah, it's a little warm out there today, yes.